Hey everyone, Frederick Kramer here. Excuse the fancy lighting, by the way, but let's get straight into the video. So, why does it take you 3 to 10 times longer, roughly, to reach your agency goals? Basically, why does it happen that you started your agency, you thought, like, I'm going to be making this much money by this much time, and it simply doesn't happen. It takes, like, way longer, and you just don't know what actually caused it. And the thing is, you might be really good at sales, you might be really good at delivering for clients, you might have, like, a good sales conversion rate, you might have good conversion rates in your outbound systems. You might be getting a lot of inbound leads. You might be getting a lot of referrals. But if you don't get this thing right, then it's literally like your agency's pre-decided to just take way longer to grow or basically never grow at all. And this is something that I've only figured out really recently. And a lot of people are talking about this, but not really in that much depth that actually makes people do it. So in this video, I want to just cover that and basically show you why it actually happens and why stuff just takes so much longer, why you don't get to your goals that you wanted to have reached last year, basically. And why does this happen? Well, firstly, obviously, a lot of online gurus tell you, like, set you some crazy high expectations that make it way easier for them to sell you their courses. But besides that, you still had expectations at the beginning that caused that they were like way higher than where you're at right now. And yeah, sure, humans also tend to just way much overestimate like time frames and how good they will be doing. But still, why the fuck does this happen? Well, the thing is, okay, what are your agency goals, right? It could be 10K a month, could be 50K a month, could be 100K a month. Doesn't matter too much. To reach these goals, you need to be able to deliver for clients and you need to, well, for 10K a month, not really, but anyway, you need to be able to deliver for clients and you need to be good at, you need to be getting a lot of sales for your agency. And these are the main fundamentals. So I'm not going to get too much into the nitty gritty stuff. That's basically what you need, right? So it's basically a lack of sales. Now, the question is, okay, but how does this happen? Because in order to get a sale in the agency online space, you obviously need to get an appointment. And a lack of sales is either a lack of appointments or a lack of sales conversion rate. Meaning you either have too little appointments or you suck too much at sales. But the thing is, if you want to get better at sales, aka suck less at sales, then you need to get a lot of appointments to make more reps, see the feedback, make more iterations and all of that to actually get better at sales. So even if this was your problem, you would still need more appointments to get better at sales. And if you if you just imagine that since you started or like since like 2 months after you started, doesn't matter if you're in the agency space for like 2-3 months, for like a year, for 3 years, like I am, for like a lot more years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years. If you just imagine having had like 20 appointments each and every single month, like a few months after you started, imagine how much more sales you could have gotten. Like how much quicker you could have been getting like better at sales, how many more clients you would have signed, how much more money would have been making, and how much more you could have reinvested that money right now and be at a higher level right now with your agency and all of that. Like just imagine how crazy that will be. So the difference between you and like a consistent amount of appointments a month, which whether that's like 20 appointments a month, 50 appointments a month, anything like that, even 10 appointments a month will be quite consistent for a lot of people. Like obviously it is consistent, but it's not much, so it would be a lot more for a lot of people. You need more appointments. And then the question becomes, okay, but why do I get inconsistent appointments? And the thing is here that a lot of people underestimate how important it is to get consistent appointments, because you need to imagine your business or your agency as like a very, very, very heavy train that can go really, really, really fast. And what happens is you start your agency, you start probably doing outbound, or you start doing some sort of like attraction methods, could even be running ads, it could literally be anything. But by doing these things, you're basically accelerating the train, make it go like 50 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour. And eventually you get, a few things can happen. It can happen that you sign clients and now you're busy delivering for the clients, which causes you to stop accelerating the train. It could happen that you get sick and you just don't do any more outreach, and then, or like any other, whatever your method is. We just assume it's outreach because most agencies start with outreach, and outreach is way more predictable than referrals or inbound methods or whatever, even more predictable than ads, because you don't know how much money you're going to have. Could be the reason that you just lose money on ads. With outreach, is very straightforward, and it's just easier to start with, right? it could happen that you have like some random family incident, you need to stop outreach, and literally anything could happen to you, and then you stop it. And what happens then is this train, like the train is still going very, very fast, and you still get a lot of appointments. That means, and you're still making a lot of money potentially if you're good at sales from these appointments. But the train is getting slower and slower and slower and slower, and you don't even realize that because you still see the appointments. But what you realize like a month later or a few weeks later is that suddenly there are no appointments anymore. And the reason why that is because there's a lot of latency in outreach, meaning when you send messages today, then you initiate people, and obviously it depends on the platform. With email, the latency is a bit smaller, with other ones it's a bit higher, but you reach out to people, then it takes time for them to see your message, then it takes time for them to respond. Maybe they forget to respond. Maybe they reply to you like months later. Then you need to send them follow-ups, multiple ones. When they then reply with interest, you still need to follow up with them because sometimes they forget, and the people you're messaging are naturally very busy, and they could literally just forget, or they're sort of like having decision fatigue and they're not able to reply for the moment. So you need to send them follow-ups, which also takes multiple days each and every time you send a follow-up to wait. And then they might set up a call. Then it is a few days in the future again till the call actually happens. Then you might have another follow-up call because you were too bad at sales to just get them over the line on the first call. Then there's something else, some other decision-making process. And basically from outreach to sales could literally be like 2 months. And people just don't think long-term enough. Like they think, okay, like now I've got clients, now I need to stop doing outreach, or like I don't have any more time for outreach, which is a valid thing, But because of that, when you're inconsistent with outreach, you're also going to get inconsistent appointments. And not only that, but you need to realize as well, with the main platforms for outreach, so I can think right now of cold calling, of cold email, and cold DMs. If you're not doing cold calling, so it's either like on LinkedIn, it's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on email. If on these platforms you start sending outreach from like from today, tomorrow you start with outreach immediately, you cannot start with a high volume of outreach. So what you need to do on these platforms as well is, for example, you start with 5 DMs a day, 6 DMs a day, 7 DMs a day, you slowly ramp that up. But if each time you start again with outreach, you need to ramp that up. It takes even longer for that train to accelerate again. And the thing that I had is I probably paused outreach like 10 times or something. And this was the real thing that caused me to take way longer. It's not about having the right mindset. It's not about removing limiting beliefs. Well, it is, but it doesn't help you when you don't do that consistently, right? You could have the right mindset. You could have no limiting beliefs. You could be really, really good at sales. You could be having like good conversion rates with your outreach. But when you're inconsistent, it doesn't work, right? And this, like I was saying, it could be because you want to take a vacation. It could be because any sort of family incident is happening. It could be really because of anything. And if you're wondering, yeah, but like, why does pausing outreach cause so much trouble? Well, if you're on a platform where you can just pause for like 1 day and then you can start with high volume again, and you literally just do that, and you don't stop outreach because you decide, okay, no, I actually hate cold calls, and now I don't want to do that many of them. I don't want to do 200 dials a day, like 300, 400 dials a day. I just want to like keep it chill. Now I have clients anyway. Now I'm going to get referrals. Like the second you start following these things, then you're going to stop outreach. And if you don't have a method like cold calling where you can just start with high volume immediately, for example, email or social outbound, etc., then you're not even able to do that. Like when you want to start again, you need to start very, very slowly. You need to be super, super careful that your LinkedIn account doesn't get restricted, that you don't get any shadow bans on Instagram where suddenly you're landing in the hidden request folder. Like it's a fucking mess. Like you should never, ever, ever stop outreach. People always say, yeah, be consistent with outreach. And then you think like, yeah, so I'll just always try outreach. So I will always, like if I do outreach on like 80 out of 90 days, like a quarter, then that's probably enough, but it isn't. Like with consistent, it's being meant like you need to never ever stop outreach until you have someone else to run it for you because you made so much money from the calls that you've got from the outreach and the sales that you've got from these calls, right? Like you should never ever ever stop outreach. And if you do that, then what happens is firstly you have way more volume to send because you don't need to like ramp up slowly again. You don't have the breaks in that, so it's actually having a consistent flow. Meaning, if you, for example, want to get better at sales, you also don't have like these huge gaps between the appointments, so you actually stay on track. You don't like lose some of the knowledge you've learned from the past calls, because it's been like a few weeks since you had the last call, like all of that stuff suddenly starts compounding, and it goes way, way quicker. Now, there are multiple ways that you can do this. You can do it the way that you're just like, yeah, okay, now I'm just going to find an outreach method, and you'll just try to figure it out by yourself. Maybe you don't even have the time to do that much outreach by yourself because you're so busy delivering for the clients. Meaning technically someone else would need to do it, but then it's someone else, so they probably don't understand every part of your business, and you still need to be sort of like micromanaging them. And there's all sorts of stuff. So you can do that by yourself. And I would honestly understand if you did, because it's obviously like you learn a lot by doing this, and you like it's a process that you understand by yourself. But the other thing that you can do is just get someone to help you with that. And I don't mean like buy some course, like buy some sort of like coaching program, because then you still need to do that by yourself, and then you still don't have that much time. It obviously depends on your size, but if you already know, like, I'm good at sales, I can deliver for them, I have a good sales conversion rate, I just need more appointments, and I don't fucking want to do any more outreach, or I don't have, like, I would love to do tons of cold calls, but I just don't have the time because I need to manage my team because of anything. What you could do as well, and this is a no shame pitch basically at this point, you can literally just check out the link in the description, because we help agency owners at above 6 figures per year, so 10K a month or more than that, to like grow that site, get them more appointments, make sure they have a consistent inflow because they are already established, they know everything else of the business, they just need more appointments. Qualified appointments, obviously, with people that actually have the money, that can afford their service. So if that's something you might be interested in on a pay and results basis, fully done for you, check that out in the description. Other than that, you literally, like, you can also do this by yourself, watch all the YouTube videos. I'm not saying that this is a bad decision to do, because again, you learn a lot. It just takes you way longer, honestly. And it's still absolutely necessary, because right now you're probably not doing that. And probably nobody is really, really, really that consistent with outreach. And the thing is, if you're getting your leads through like another method, for example, inbound, you also need to be that consistent with inbound. Like, you need to be making videos, like you should like never skip like a week of making inbound videos, or like whatever sort of method you're using there, right? But that's also super, super important. And yeah, that's really it for the video. If you've got any other sort of questions, sorry, by the way, for me not writing like way more on this document. It's just, when I'm talking, I don't want to pause all the time, make the video way longer. But yeah, if you've got any sort of questions on that, then obviously let me know in the comments. Other than that, looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.